Now, for more on finance, we're joined by Rod North, Executive Director at Bourse Communications. Rod, good morning.
Good morning.
Strong overseas lead at the moment?
Yes, strong overseas lead, and I think the good thing about that is that that's providing a fair bit of stability and for the rest of the world as well. But certainly the information coming out of the US is looking very positive because we've had good jobs data recently with their unemployment rate down now in the 7s, and also that information you just talked about with retail sales, all that sort of indicating pretty good news. But I suppose one of the things that will result from that will be sort of looking at that situation in terms of quantitative easing. At some point in time, interest rates in the US, which have been at or near zero for a long time, are probably going to have to start and move up at some stage, and that ultimately will be the trigger that I think will help our dollar, get back down to a more reasonable level, as opposed to sort of staying around at the current level at parity, because it's pretty unsustainable for Australia to continue for, say, another 6 months to 12 months, to have the dollar at this sort of level for people that are trying to export.
Now, all the major banks have been getting kudos for passing on in full, for a change, those variable...
And even more.
In the ANZ's case, even more variable rates from the Reserve Bank. But there's one interest rate the banks don't want us to talk about, isn't there,
That's exactly right. Now, I've had the microscope out and I've had a look. On credit cards, there is $6.2 billion being spent in interest each year, which of course has helped drive, extraordinary profits for the banks. But if you look at the cash rate, which was back in 2011 4.75, is now 2.75, that 2% drop in terms of credit cards, only 0.12% has been passed on. So we're still seeing credit cards in Australia at an average of about 17% by the big four. There are other non-bank lenders sort of offering 9 and 11%, but it sort of does raise this question of what really should be charged for credit cards above the cash rate. And I've really always been an advocate of that being looked at more closely, and perhaps should be legislated that if we have a cash rate currently at 2.75, a figure above that should be the ceiling that the banks can charge for credit card rates. And maybe that should be 5% or 8%, but I think it's something we should be looking at.
Yeah, good luck with that. And what are you expecting in terms of a deficit tonight with the budget? Well,
it's certainly going to be 10 billion plus. I remember sitting on this couch 12 months ago talking about a wafer-thin budget.
Yes.
And I suppose if we were talking about a CFO of a public company making all sorts of predictions like that, perhaps you'd be looking very closely from a board point of view as to whether that person should be holding the role if the budget deficit ends up being sort of between 10 and 20 billion, which is probably where it's likely to end up.
Always good to see you, Rod. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.